Friday night, I want a Chippy Tea. Chippy Tea, Chippy Tea, I want a Chippy Tea. Oh, you keep giving me posh, no, she don't agree with me. I don't want lobster thermidor with raspberry coulis. It's Friday night, I'm within me rights, I want a Chippy Tea.
Swap with me, my Garmin running watch.
Alright.
I get 30 days between charges.
Fuck it now.
Apple Watch
That's
has to charge every day. Maybe it's because I don't fucking do anything.
I'm going to say it's only an actual watch that.
Yeah.
It doesn't need charge, it's just mechanical. It's just
Casio, yeah.
Yeah. I used to love those little Casio watches.
Not
little
wrong with them, mate.
Things, but it had like
Yeah.
a little weird ridge.
Yeah, not wrong with
Remember
Casio watches.
They were class, weren't they?
Right, what number are we on?
Knees. I don't know.
75.
No, we're way past that.
Are we?
It's 7. It's like back end 70s. 79. Have a stretch. Oh God, I'm
Right,
flipping.
are we ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Right, let's go. Right, here we go. Welcome to episode 79 of the Chippy Tea podcast. The Chippy Tea podcast is your chance, your opportunity to eavesdrop on a regular video call that happens between me, Tony P at Palm Print, and
Danny Donald from the Flipper Sweet Print Co. And it's ever so lovely to be here.
as we chew the fat, try and dissect what went right, what went wrong during the week that we've just had. It's loosely based around screen print because that's the only thing we've got in common. But there's no guarantee.
We don't really like each other in real life.
We never met each other.
No.
Can't use that line anymore. So,
No, can't.
first off,
Yes. Oh, give me a sec then.
I see now you've moved. We can see your messy shop.
You should see it downstairs. I've just painted the floor again. It's immaculate.
When are we moving? When are we moving your studio downstairs so we can see your machine?
Now that I painted my floor, actually, I'm happy to do that.
Yeah.
No, it's real tidy downstairs. You should see it. It's spotless.
Well, that's what we
Annie-
want because we
Annie
want.
has
Yeah.
had a
While we're
stern
talking,
warning.
you can be printing. No need for you to
Yes,
stop.
That's a risky business.
You know, like Alex on end of his dryer.
Yeah, standing
I'm
under
doing a
dryer is not
podcast at the same
as printing.
time. Yeah.
I'm not that multitaskable.
Get that Yorkshire goodness. What we got?
I'm
Rugo.
on Elvis juice.
Elvis juice.
I think I got it at Christmas. I still got some to all. Because I don't like them.
I would like to have seen them collecting that. Cheers.
Oh. Cheers. I hope every listener's watching this at tea time or a couple hours after, and we're all going to join us and crack a beer.
And have a beer with us.
It gives you a warm feeling that
Yeah.
listeners will be having a beer with us. Otherwise, they'll be on M62 probably. Listening to it on Spotify 2 weeks after I upload it.
Right.
I thought that counts, didn't it?
So, now you're having a beer, now you relax a little bit. What's been going on with you this week?
I'll tell you what's been going on with me, mate. Catching up, ain't I? After you
Yeah.
came over and
You
terrorised
destroyed
me
your
for a
production.
week. Yeah.
So just for a catch up, I called on the Tuesday, and we had another go at lenticular high build printing.
Yeah.
So in one short sentence, how did that go?
Successful this time. Lessons learned. Last time, first crack at it was an absolute disaster. Let's be honest.
It fell off. It just
pretty much
fell
every step went to shit. We got everything wrong. Anything
Right,
could
so,
go wrong.
Let's just unpack that. What did we do wrong first?
God, got up and got out of bed.
I reckon the film we were using was too thick.
Yeah, so we were
Because
working
we were on
on
400, weren't we?
We were working on the last of my 400 micron fat film
From
our mate Pyramid, which I had really good success with, but it was a couple of years ago, or it was over a year ago, and my head has just sort of forgot it all, forgot how I got it, I forgot how I used it. And then I've changed emulsion. So that was another factor. So we'd got a fat film that was probably a little bit too thick, that was rolled up. So we were trying to apply a film that by nature just wanted to roll back off the screen, which was an issue. We was using an emulsion which I completely forgot all the exposure times on. So it was a bit of a stab in dark, which we found out we stabbed the donkey.
That's what it felt like.
Completely the wrong place.
Yeah.
And it was just an experiment, wasn't it? The application of putting the film to screen, etc. We didn't quite nail it, I don't think.
There's 3 ways, isn't there, of applying the capillary film. Capillary is thick film. To capillarize it.
Capillarization didn't go according to plan, basically.
So when we were applying the capillary film, capillary is like your veins. It's to suck. It's that action of drawing in water or moisture. So there is method number 1 is thoroughly wet the screen with a mist layer, not blast it to death with the Star Wars lightsaber jet wash.
A little garden,
one of them, yeah.
On your little
Elvis juice. You collecting your Elvis juice then? So, number 1 is wet the screen, peel off the protective film.
Make sure you peel off the thin side and not the thick side.
Lesson learned. So the thin side is a dust cover. It's very thin, like a very cheap plastic bag. The thick side is like the same thickness as a piece of film, and that's there to give it its stability, so that it doesn't shrink or fall off. It helps keep it stable while it dries and sticks to the screen. So number 1 is to wet the screen with a mist, and then apply the capillary film. And the best analogy I've got for applying it is if you've ever applied a screensaver on a phone.
Yeah, that's a good analogy, actually.
You sort of like, you let it grab in the middle, and then it just rolls on by itself.
Does it itself, yeah.
You don't need to press down really hard, and then just as the water dries out, it sucks it onto the mesh.
Yeah.
Then after that, you have to dry it. Strangely, shirt side up, so it doesn't fall off. And
the opposite of what you'd
you'd normally expect. Then when it's dry and thoroughly dry, you coat the inside with a good emulsion that you know is going to work with the capillary film. That's method number 1, basically. That's mist, apply like a screensaver, and then when it's dry, coat on the ink side. Method number 2 is what we tried first, and it didn't go well.
Didn't go well at all.
And you've got a semi-automatic coater.
Well, it grabs the screen so you can coat.
It's like a screen holder for your coating.
It just holds it, yeah.
It's a Vastix one, isn't it?
Yeah,
it don't move. You have to still move, don't you? So we stuck the we coat it. Did we coat and then stick the film to it?
We coated, and this is where we ran into issues.
Coated it with 1 layer, and then you tried to use the capillary action of the emulsion to make the cap film stick. That didn't work.
No, it didn't take, did it? It didn't like it.
No, didn't work. Didn't like it at all.
It was not only that as well.
It was messy. It grabbed.
Where we were positioning it, you were sort of moving emulsion about, and when it did sort of dry, but it just looked terrific. It looked.
Don't recommend. The third option is one I've done for years, but I decided not to do it with you because I know it's messy and I know you're a bit of a tidy freak. So I thought, no, I won't do that. And what I would normally do is get a nice flat table, and usually I use the exposure.
That's what I did years ago.
Yeah, you normally use a flat surface.
Yeah.
And then you put your film down,
lay it down
with the sticky side up. So when you've taken your protective film off, you lay it down, and then with a squeegee, not a coater, you pull emulsion across the inside of the screen.
Yeah, I never did it that way.
So
I did sort of an hybrid of what we did. The one that worked.
Yeah.
Wet the screen, sit it up, get my film out. And the reason I got my film out was because it wanted to curl. So I'd put it on the exposure table,
Nice and flat.
spray my screen, then sit it down, give it a minute, and then that was enough to just stop it from wanting to curl off. And then let it dry, and then coat it.
Yeah.
So in the end, we settled on...
Well, the first one was the failure one where we did the coating, tried to get it to stick to the emulsion, didn't like that. Second one where we had good success, and it was easy, and it was clean, was we applied the cap film to the wet screen.
We got a washed degrease screen, put it in the clamp, got us Elvis juicer, sprayed it, grabbed the film, took off the thin layer of film, not the thick layer, thin layer. You'd never catch me doing that.
No, not on video
and then
anyway.
Slowly approach the screen, sort of get it in your position, just press it on, and then let the capillary action capillarize it and take it.
You were doing so well as capillarized.
And capillarization will run its course, and before you know it, it's sort of stuck.
When it's been capillaried.
And then take it to drying rack when it's been capillaried. Take it to drying rack. Like Tony says, the wrong way around to what you would typically do, just to avoid any corners wanting to curl and come off. When it's dry, coat obviously the shirt, the ink side.
Yeah.
One coat, let it dry again. That seemed to be the most effective method. That was our first successful attempt, I think.
Yeah.
Fair to say.
As far as exposure times, I looked online. There are some exposure times available for the film.
There's rules of thumb, isn't there? But it
so
requires...
what we were sort of like fumbling around in the dark a little bit, weren't we? And then you put the light on in the dark room. No.
Yeah. I had stop at curtains and we had much more success.
So then, if we think of a normal... Dog's been an arsehole. Get down, knobhead.
Standard.
If we think of a normal coated screen, let's say 1:1, is 50 microns of emulsion.
Yep.
Then we've got our time for that. If that time is 30 seconds, when we use a 300 micron thickness of film, logically we want 6 times the amount of light to expose that emulsion. So to go from 50 to 300 is 6 times more emulsion. So if we go from 30 seconds times 6, that's where we get our number for to try and 180 seconds expose it. We're done. We started at 6 times, didn't we? And we found that we're a little bit too much.
Yeah. I think that rule of thumb's a really good starting point.
It's where we started from.
Tweak it accordingly. And we ended up coming back did we come back by about 30 seconds?
Yeah.
I feel like about 30
Because
seconds.
it's really difficult to put an exposure test on there. Exposure tests are toned, they're really high detail, and you're just not going to get that out on the really thick emulsion.
I wonder if you could do an exposure test. Dean, we did an exposure test on normal emulsion. Me and Dean, we went through each mesh and ran exposure tests. So it's just a step test, step calculator. Could you just use a solid graphic, bit of text or something, repeated, and then you expose it, move a bit of black card down, expose it for an extra 10 seconds, bit of black card down, 10 seconds. That's probably what we should have done, to be honest.
Yeah. But it's expensive stuff, isn't it?
It's expensive stuff, and now you're going to get light leak because it's 300 micron film. Will the exposure test work? Because on a normal screen, you can do steps by covering it, and you won't get light leak with an exposure, with your exposure unit.
Yeah.
But because you've got that added thickness, maybe you'll start to get light coming in and
maybe
test to shit.
It's one of those. We sort of like we had an educated guess, and then we reduced it by what we thought was an educated guess of 30 seconds. I think we got the right time in the end. By the time we've done 2 screens. Yeah. 2? Yeah, 2.
And 2 iBuilds.
2 iBuilds and some flats. We can get a high build print, yes, but we want to get a lenticular effect, which lenticular effect is where you view it from the left, it says one thing, and when you view it from the right, it says another. So we've got some artwork created. We've got a first strike off which we're not going to show you whatsoever.
No.
Except for out of focus and moving the camera like that.
Yeah, I
All
was
arty.
explaining this. I showed this to Annie, and I was explaining to her. I was like, "Look, listen. I know you want to see it, but what you'll look at just looks like a mess. But in mine and Tony's head, we know exactly what we're looking at. We know what we need to change.
Yeah.
So it was that strike off was a success for us.
Yeah.
But to anybody else, it just looked like a blur. I was like, what's that about? But it's not, because we know exactly what we need to change, and we know it'll be successful making that change. It was just a little bit of artwork tweaking on your part.
Yeah, we need to do some artwork. We need to move some lines around, make things a bit bolder, because we're pushing the limit of what the fineness of the detail we can reproduce on such a thick film. And it's always better, if you want a 400 micron lift, use 200 screens. That 400 screen is really difficult to push ink through.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's a good shout.
Yeah. Build slowly with 200 screens rather than one 400.
Right. Is there any point in building slowly with 200s? Why don't you just get to 200 and just keep stepping up?
Well, you could, yeah, but if you want to run it in production.
Yeah, I suppose for speed.
Yeah.
Fair.
It's a difficult thing. The sample that I've got, that I carry around with me, that has really kickstarted the whole idea of doing this. I got in touch with a guy who did it, and it went around the press, so it had 110 impressions on it.
God, that's madness, isn't it?
I know, yeah. I mean, it was multicolour, it was multi-HD, there was colours in the background, there's a top layer on it as well. But yeah, it wasn't something you could really make money out of.
No.
But we're hoping to do it around the press 2 or 3 times, and hopefully we'll get it that way.
Yeah, it's not something that we can monetize. It's just all a bit of...
Unless you're Mad Specials.
Unless you're Mad Specials, maybe. Yeah, he seems to do all right commercially.
It just seems manually. He dries it with a hot air gun, and he probably charges a fortune for what he does. So, hat off to him. Some of his stuff's fucking awesome. So
he is doing it. He keeps his cards to his chest, which I think is fair. Totally right of him to do so. But you'd love to rattle around his brain a little bit, wouldn't you, and look at what he's doing. But that's kind of a fun of a process, isn't it? I built something that I had a dabble with, and I really enjoyed it for a brief period because it was completely new, very little resources in terms of how to do it. So you are a little bit blind, and you try to fathom it out yourself, which I like. It makes it exciting. It makes it rewarding when you do crack it. So
I think there's a lot more resources online now. Going back 10 years, nobody wanted to share anything. Now we've almost got the opposite. Everybody wants to fucking share everything, and we're like, no, keep that to yourself. It's wrong. I was in, where was I? Reading, and I've got a guy 1 month into it wants to know where I can find some resources. So that's a shout out to Ollie at Reading if he is a new listener. And he's looking for resources online. And I said, look, there are lots and lots of places where you can get resources, but you've got to be careful and filter out the knobheads. And that's without, I'm not trying to be derogatory to anybody, but a lot of people think they're an expert after printing for 6 months. They throw it on a YouTube channel, and then other people pick that up thinking that it's good. And they either are completely wrong, or they're so vague that they don't actually help you out at all. That's Tony's rant out of the way. Sorry, that one scripted at all. Right? They were just like, yeah. So that was the day when I came and ruined your production.
Yeah, but it was successful. We learned
to say no to high build.
Just say no to Tony. Third time lucky. I think we'll have something to show for it.
Definitely. But then, a couple of days later, I did come and try and redeem myself a little bit.
Yeah, so Tony were very good to come and...
Yeah, we had a day on the Thursday, didn't we, where really we came and tried to... Well, we did execute some of the theory that we talk about all the time.
Well, we did quite a lengthy episode on Wet previous week.
We did, yeah.
Which seemed to be quite popular. Seems to be helping quite a few people, which I quite like. It's quite satisfying to know.
I'd much rather get paid for it, though, don't
I? Well, you did when you came down, so... It's a nice T-shirt.
Just right above my name, look.
Yeah. So he came and spent a day with me, and basically I had palm print consultants in for the day, and we went through the process of wet printing. I did as everybody does, and I saved Tony all my shit jobs. And
6-colour job on a 6-colour press with a flash.
3
and an
6-colour
underbase.
jobs, I think it was. It was like something like that, wasn't it? All to be done wet on wet. But we cracked it, didn't we? We absolutely every single job run smoothly, perfectly. I think there was one job that needed a slight tweak, but we'd sort of preempted it by putting.
That's what it's about. That, I think that's the key. That's the secret. It's not such a secret, but making the decisions before we get to press, and making them based on information and logic and truth, rather than a gut feeling or experience, or that's how I've seen someone else do it.
Or a panic reaction midway through. Oh shit, something's going wrong.
What's going wrong? Change something. What?
Yeah.
Anything.
Yeah. We almost had a pre-prepared plan, and when we ran a 6-colour wet on wet job, and when one of the colours started picking, we'd already wrote it down. We already knew exactly what we already sort of preempted it was going to happen. So it was literally quick change and fixed it.
Yeah.
So there was no panic or stress or quick, I better react to this before the water-based ink starts drying. It was, we sort of thought this was going to happen. We can see it's ever so slightly starting to pick now. Because sometimes it can be, 20 shirts down the line.
30 or 40 shirts in, everything goes well until then everything gets warm and settled and loose, and things change. It's dynamic. Printing's dynamic.
Mm-hmm.
In what I mean by that is it changes all the time, and you have to change. I've had the last couple of jobs I've gone to, people have asked me what number do I set this on? Well, there isn't a number. Well, what do I set me off contact on? Well, according to what you're printing on, so and according to the tension of that screen, according to where the position of the lugs, according to everything, that's what you set it on. Yeah. So I always start on number 2. No. What about speed? Do we always start on 7? No.
No.
Make the decision based on the surroundings. It's dynamic. It changes every time. The job down in Reading, we had a white flash white, and then we had another white flash white, and nothing changed in between. But one looked better than the other. I'm like, well, yeah, one was on big thick cotton tote bags, and one was on Gildan tees. Yeah. So it's always going to look better on cotton. It's always going to look bad on Gildan.
Can't be helped, can it?
We're not sponsored by sponsored by Gildan. It's all right.
No, we're not. We happen to be sponsored. Oh, we can't. We have to cut that out. We don't like us slagging off of a brand, so we have to cut that out.
Yeah. So changing from a cotton shirt to a cotton tote bag makes a world of difference on how you approach it. Plus,
your substrate
I had 2 43s because it was a big open mesh, and then I had a 43 and a 62 because there was some detail in it. So I can't approach them both the same, despite the, everybody's guilty of this. Well, that's my favourite squeegee. That's my white squeegee. It's already covered in white. I'm using that one.
In a way. It's not something I'm guilty of, but yeah, maybe everybody else is.
A lot. Well, you are. You've got your little Aquaflex squeegee.
Yeah, but that's because that is the most suitable squeegee for Aquaflex. You can't argue with me on that one. You would put that squeegee in every single time for white Aquaflex.
Yeah, it depends if you've got high detail. If you're doing like
you might step
a multi-process job where you've got high tone on a 90 mesh. You won't want that squeegee in.
Yeah, you may be right. You probably would step it up, but
so you've got to make that decision based on the job in front of you. I
think what you've got to understand is, once you get an understanding of the fundamentals and the tools that you've got at your disposal, it's really easy to then pivot and change, because you understand that, like you put, everything's just more or less ink. And you've got multiple different tools that can achieve it. Yeah. So in any given scenario, you might pick a totally different tool. You might just say, well, I need a bit more ink. Well, I'll just go grab a lower durometer, a 65 instead of a 75.
Yeah.
Or I might put a little bit more travel. Or I might up my pressure.
Or I
might go get a different screen, which is probably the last thing you do, because you don't want to go make a new screen.
It's the most expensive, Most expensive, most time consuming.
The point is, once you've understood and you've got the fundamentals in your head, you've got the tools laid out in front of you then to react to how it prints. So you might have a benchmark, or you might have a starting point. You might throw your squeegee and your screen, whatever, and then you might do a test print, and that might be a starting point every time where you set it to whatever. But then you know to react and change accordingly. Goes on.
Nobody. It's just dogs on the bed.
Oh, yeah.
He's just been a dick. Bless him.
You didn't do your mandatory Jack ripping up the post.
No, I know. I took it with me, didn't
This
I?
year.
Yeah. I didn't take a box with me. So yeah, I need to do that, don't I?
Yeah. That's sort of tradition now.
It is now, yeah.
Anyway,
so we had a good day going through what you call the fundamentals on the press.
What we did is, I think, what the difference maker was, we put the fundamentals into practice, and it was proof of concept, which gave me more confidence to not fall back to the flash. Yeah. So if I'm running a white print flash print with 5 colours on top that really should all be wet to speed the job up, to get the job done super fast. There were times, being a little bit newer to press, that I just fall back to flash, Maybe I'd do a couple wet on wet flash and then a couple more wet on wet. But now we spent that day, and that proof of concept gives me the confidence to chuck wet on wet back on.
You've seen it work, yeah. You've seen it work. It's not just hot air or bullshit. You've seen it work, and now you can take that and put it into practice for every job. And I'm not going to sit here and say I never use more than one flash. Christ, if I've got a flash, I'll turn it on. Makes my life easier. Why the hell not?
Yeah.
But occasionally, we've got to. It's not just flashing; it's heat management. Heat management is not just making sure it's hot enough. Heat management is making sure it's not too hot.
Yeah. Well, my setup's quite unique, which poses quite a few. You found out it poses tricky issues with heat, and it requires a little bit of adapting and a little bit of a slightly different way of printing. But I'm sure everybody.
And you've got a limbo under stairs like that.
I have to do it right. Yeah. I've cleared that space out now so I can get under a bit better.
Oh yeah.
But yeah. Oh, I got one of those little trolleys. Little, like mechanics have them trolleys.
Oh yeah.
You sent me a link.
I sent you a link. Did you get that
bumming about on my bum, yeah. Bumming about floor.
It's a little tray for your tape and everything on it, isn't it?
Yeah. It's like a little drawer, pulls out. You just sit there, tape my reg marks up, and time saver though.
Yeah.
Seems silly, but no, it is a big, massive time saver. Getting up and down on your knees and crawling about press takes time.
Yeah.
Bobbing about.
You've got an FPU, so you have to put your reg marks on.
Yeah,
otherwise you've got no way of positioning your films.
No, we did talk about some people who just do it purely by artwork, but I can't fall back.
You need your reg marks
personally.
On.
Yeah. I mean, you need it to line up on your PFU anyway. FPU on your PlayStation 3 unit anyway. So it was a successful day then, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think we had a good day. It was good for me because I got some work shirts done.
You did. They look very fresh. Anybody with eagle eyes will have noticed it's like a fraction smaller.
Yeah, but I wanted it smaller.
Yeah. It looks better, doesn't it? It was a bit oversized, the last one.
I sent somebody your way today for some workwear. I don't know if he's got in touch with you or not.
Workwear?
Yeah, some printing done.
Oh, hope so. I've not seen. I've had a last minute email from someone who wants something printed for TikTok in about 3 days.
Random.
So, can't do that. Sorry. Where you been this week? So right, we wrapped up the day of consulting, proof of concept. Tony's quite good at his job actually. I can highly recommend. And then you buggered off and did your own thing. We're talking, this would have been Friday. So really, we've just got this week to catch up on.
This week I've been a return visit to a shop that is losing their head printer by mutual consent. It's been a long We've known it's coming for a couple of months now. And so we went down to try and see what we've got with the people that are already there and already established there and have already been working there. Can we bring them up a little bit? Can we give them some confidence, see where they're at? And yeah, the two guys there are really keen, really confident. And I think we can, we'll do really well throwing them in at the deep end. They already understand. Some people already understand the basics, but lack a little bit of confidence. So we've been down there doing some refresher training, some assessment training, and it's always good to have that sort of like that zoom out. That have a look at the whole process, not just the print. It's how we get the art and how we prepare the art, how we get it to the output device, and then from the output device onto the printer. And it's not just as simple as that. We've got to plan. We've got to forward think. Try and get all the white flash white jobs on together, so we're not cleaning squeegees left, right, and centre.
Such a time sap.
I am guilty of trying to put same palettes together. If I've got a sleeve job, then I put all the sleeves on. Kids and tote bags, try and put them together. Adults, put all them together. But you know what? I'm guilty of this because the reason I do that is embedded in the sort of like 1990s. When it used to take a good 20 to 25 minutes to change all the boards on a 40-station oval.
Yeah.
So it made perfect sense. It was the best use of time to lump all the same table sizes together.
Yep.
Well, if I was stood next to you, right, and we had a set of boards to change on your MHM, how long do you think it'd take? I'm passing you a board, you're passing me a board. I'm passing you a board, you're passing... There's 8 to do.
If you've got a reference point for where each of your boards slide
pulling them all the way out
every time, or pulling them all the way out, a minute?
Less than a minute.
Probably, yeah.
So less than a minute to change the board. So it's firmly embedded in my head to try and do all the same type together. But actually, it's not always the best use of time. Because if it takes me 20 minutes to change all the boards, yeah, absolutely, try and get them together. If it takes a minute to change the boards, that's less time than you going for a week. So it's not worth factoring in. Even though it feels like, I'm taking these boards off and putting them back on again. Yes, 2 minutes.
Yeah. As long as you've got a reference point, though, because I know
for me, I have.
Well, this is something that I'm trying to work out. I'd really like something that you can just sort of sit in place and slide it up to bump it up.
Physical.
Somewhat physical. Well, I feel like that's a little bit more accurate. But of course, on the X type, you're bumping into a V shape.
Yeah, it's not straight, is it?
It's not a solid. You're not bumping into a solid back piece.
No.
I think on some of the other presses, the other models, it does have a straight, so it's easy.
A little, yeah. M&R had a really good thing. It was like an L, but it was upside down, so the stick was pointing down, and it was on it was.
You be careful.
It slid in
I've already
and out.
had Ofcom on to me about that last episode.
The extrusion, so you could pull it out, lock it down, and that's a physical stop to push your pallets against. So that was a really good invention from M&R.
I quite like the idea of a click of it. You sit your pallets in and then it clicks a mil at a time. Like you can slide it up and down, but you hear it clicking.
Yeah.
So you're like, 10 clicks. Perfect. Done. Oh, I like that. I sell that to MHM. You listening? Don't go put it on a press without consulting me. I invented that.
I'll call it the Danny-ometer.
I've come up with some good ideas for these presses, mate. One day, go listen to me and build them.
One day. So yeah, we're down there reassessing how we can make life easier. It did point out something to me. It's the cleaning, okay? Cleaning eats time.
It's horrible, isn't it?
But we don't give it any priority.
Well, I've had this conversation with Annie.
We don't give it any priority, do we? And yet, my old analogy of a single colour job...
Analogy.
Analogy. Of a single colour job taking 15 minutes to do 100,
Yeah.
of which 9 is set up, 6 is running.
Right.
So everybody's obsessed with making that 6 minutes, try and get it into 5, turn the press up, shorten the print stroke, get loading quicker, get everything ready for you. Really, really speed that 6 minutes up and see if you can get down to 5. But we forget about the 9 minutes that we'd spent scrubbing a squeegee with an old baby wipe that we found down back at toilet.
You could save way more time in that process than you can on press. And the press side of things, you want to be as relaxed as possible, as stress-free as possible. So it's better to shave time off the cleaning, the strip and teardown process. So this is
I think
especially on my
squeegee
mind.
cleaning, it gets overlooked because people just think you can just wipe it off with a rag. Well, you probably can, because your runs are less than 100. You mix just enough ink to go round, so there's no climbing up the back of the squeegee. You know, the guys that have just finished 1,000 pieces with a plastisol white that's trying to climb out of the screen.
Must be everywhere.
That's a bitch to clean.
Yeah, but I think you need a teardown station. So this is what I'm trying to build now. I've got a little stainless steel counter which I've butted up against the wall. I'm trying to put all my tools that I need. What I'd like to get, if anyone's selling one, is one of those squeegee.
The Sherlock.
The Sherlocks.
Called the Sherlock, yeah.
The Sherlock. I could do with one of them. So now, instead of wiping stuff on press and then putting it back in and then scraping all ink out over the press, or dropping bits of ink or catching sides, screen comes out, squeegees and flood bar come with it to the station, scrape it all out in a bucket, scrape it off, wipe it down. I'm finding that process a lot quicker, having sort of a designated area.
You must have. You've got to have. People think that you only clean once or twice a day. But, you know, if you do 10 jobs and you've got 6 sets of squeegees, that's 60 squeegees you're cleaning.
Yeah.
In a day. And so you need somewhere separate, thought out, and ergonomic, really, in where to clean.
Yeah, I think ergonomics are an important thing that probably gets overlooked. I was sort of trying to scrape ink out with screens still locked in press. And that's not ergonomic. You're fiddling about, and then you're probably going to drop some, and then you're getting some ink on your palette knife, and you're rushing it over before it drips all over the floor.
It lands on
your
shoe.
It eats so much time because you end up. I had this conversation with Annie. So cleaning up as you go. I know it's a bit of a pain in the ass and it slows you down. And I explained this to Annie. If you don't clean up as you go, I'm going to come along in a bit and I'll do it for you. So it might not be faster for you, but it's faster for me because I don't have to do it then. So this is my analogy. I mean, clean as you go.
Yeah, it's like a kitchen. You know, if you're making a sandwich, there's no way you would leave any mess that you made for another day or for later.
No.
You clean it as you go.
Got to.
Especially now you're living, last time she's telling you not to leave such a fucking mess all over the sideboard.
Put that bloody toilet seat down. Oh. Honestly. I thought I was doing the right thing. It makes more sense to me.
You'll learn.
I don't think I'll ever learn. I'll just put up with it, I think.
Learn till we sat down.
Yeah.
So, clean as you go, definitely. Because, what we do is really messy. This ink stays wet for 5 years. It's transferable, which means that, anything you touch, it's going to be on. It's going to be on your car handle. It's going to be on the door handle. It's going to be on the dog. It's going to be on the carpet. It's going to be everywhere. Everything you touch. Everything you touch.
See if you can guess who's most recently used which pot of ink.
Danny, you've had your hands all over that red.
No, that's not. And bear in mind, this is after a lecture of be overly clean, be paranoid clean. So this is clean in somebody's head. This is what somebody's calling clean. I'm not having it. There you go.
Yeah.
So that transfers all of its shop.
Yeah, and you've got to clean that. You've got to pick up white shirts, and
yeah.
It gets everywhere.
Yeah,
it makes
you must
sense.
Be obsessively clean. When I was printing on manual, I don't know if I mentioned this, printing on manual. I've got an auto now, or maybe it's direct. Where I print a lot of ASColour t-shirts.
Is there another one?
Not yet, but coming soon. But I would print, and literally every print, I'm looking at my hands before I touch the t-shirt to sweep under flash. It's a constant
That's
nervous
because you've had
tick.
to clean it off. You've learned that lesson because you've had to clean 10 shirts off.
Yeah. It's something you develop over time. When you're printing on manual, you're touching a squeegee so the ink could flick up. So you're at constant risk of, like it only takes a little dot of ink, and then you push your shirt around to flash, and now I've ruined that shirt. So it becomes a nervous tick to constantly be looking at your hands, wiping it off.
Yeah, I've been in shops where they wear gloves, and that's horrible.
It sort of defeats the point, doesn't it? Because you're still
then everything's
transferring ink.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always say, you look at somebody and they've got ink all over their hands and they're loading shirts. You're like, would you go in your own wardrobe at home and pick your clothes out?
No.
With hands like that?
Understood it. Maybe I'm just a bit off the top with it, but
you are, yeah. But it's good.
It eats away at me.
So yeah.
So we've got a teardown station.
Yeah. So
what can we do to improve it?
Ollie's a great guy. And I'm like, Ollie's great. Look, he gets in that corner, sits down on that piece of cardboard, puts an old shirt on, and scrubs the squeegees. I'm like, yeah, that's great, but can we not get him somewhere to work? Let's get a table. Let's get a Sherlock squeegee washer from Screen Print World. I think sell them. I think Dave's the dealer for them. I told you the story of how I found an automatic one of them.
An automatic one?
Yeah.
With like an air compressor.
Air compressor, stands outside at press. It's got its own liquid in it, and it's called Blade Runner.
Oh, I like it. That must be an M&R product, guaranteed.
It's a female product from France.
The
people that make the squeegee blades.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah. And the only time I've seen one actually out in the wild, it was wrapped in shrink wrap and under the stairs. Right. I've been looking for one of them for ages. Is it good? So what do you think? It's wrapped in shrink wrap under stairs and it's been there for the last 3 years. All right, it's not that good then. No, it's crap. So, right, okay. So,
do you see many of the Sherlocks?
Yeah, loads. Shitloads.
Do you see many of the Sherlocks in action?
Yes.
Oh, good.
It's an equal... It's probably 70-30. 30% of them I see in the back covered in what can only be described as toxic waste.
Yeah.
And 70% of them I see being used.
Yeah. I mean, you've got
they're not the perfect solution, but they're a good solution.
It seems like it would be pretty useful.
Yeah.
Especially for a quick changeover. And a quick blasting away.
Back in the day, sort of, when I started printing and I was having to wash and scrub these squeegees all the time, I'm like, there's got to be a better idea. Well, I also used to work behind bars all the time, and I've lived in pubs and bars. And we've got these 3 spinning brushes.
Right.
And it's actually 4. One around the outside, one in the middle, and you just put the pint glass down like that. And it comes out spotlessly scrubbed.
Right.
There's got to be a version of that for squeegees.
Well,
rotating brushes in a bucket of solvent press wash.
I saw, I can't remember who it was, and what he had is 2 sponges almost clamped together. I mean, he'd get a squeegee and we're in danger here, aren't we? We're in danger territory. But he'd sit it in between his brushes and he'd wipe it across and then boom. And he'd just like chuck it in, wipe it across. It wasn't as bad as yours.
I think no, I'm not doing it again. I'm sitting on my hands now.
I mean, you know what I mean? Like 2 sponges sort of clamped together, and then you can just brush your squeegee bars or your actual squeegees.
Yeah, I mean there are for sort of like 20-25 grand you can buy an automatic dishwasher that spins it round and sprays it with solvent. You don't actually scrub it. I think it's the scrubbing bit that's missing.
Yeah, the agitation. I think that's a bit important bit. The agitator.
Yeah.
I might have to look at that. See if we can invent one.
I think we'll have to do a Chippy Tea squeegee washer.
Well, we'll add it to the list, eh?
Chippy Tea squeegee washer. It's definitely on the list.
Well, add it to the list and chuck it in the back of your garage. With rest.
With my fogger.
With your fogger in your bingo dabber.
And my single press.
Your single press. Yeah.
That's moving forward,
So-
that.
How is it?
Yeah.
Bit of progress.
Yeah. Watch this
One day
space.
one of them will come to fruition.
Yeah. It'll be cheapest, crappiest one as well, and we won't make any money out of it.
Still waiting for UV Chippy Tea ink to be fair.
Yeah, it's on its way.
So we've got a tear down station. Are there any gadgets or must-haves that we can put there that you can think of? That we might not necessarily be thinking of. I think babe wipes is the most obvious thing. You obviously want a stack of babe wipes. You want your solvent sprays, or if you're using water-based, you want a bucket of, a sponge of soapy warm water. Just on standby all the time.
Mm.
And this is your tear down station. And once you've got those three mandatory aspects, what other gadgets can we use?
I've
Use
seen.
the Sherlock.
I'm quite lucky, and I see lots. It's the removing the loose ink from a squeegee. You do it with a palette knife with a rounded edge.
I use a paint scraper more often than not.
The paint scrapers I've seen now are superb because they're rigid, solid metal, and
Yeah,
they
they're
allow you
flex.
to pretty much clean the rubber almost perfectly. It just needs a quick
Yeah,
wipe
it's
down.
amazing. It's an amazing
Uh,
difference it makes from a normal palette knife.
Yeah, I can't use a palette knife because that rounded edge, I just can't get enough ink off it, and then I end up spreading
No.
loads of ink all over. So yeah, that's one for me.
Wouldn't
The
recommend using it on your
stands?
screens though.
the upright stands, so you can put
That's
your
something to do
squeegees
with.
somewhere without laying them flat. So you can stand squeegees upright.
I've seen almost like little plastic blocks. You just
Yeah.
put one corner and it just loads it up.
Yeah, there's
Yeah,
those.
that's
There's the
cool.
ones from the squeegee place in America, which are just extrusion with pegs in, but they work
Right.
really, really well for circa £30. For me, plunger can.
Yeah, tell you what you could use. If you go to a hot dog stand in Brid on Seafront.
Yeah.
Well, put the hot dogs on like
On that
stainless
V.
steel V things. You've got one of them set in the corner. You could sit your squeegees in.
Yeah, you
Would
could.
that
Yeah,
work? Maybe it'd work.
yeah, it would. Yeah, plunger can.
Yeah, I've got one of them sort of here.
I like the plunger can. Nice and safe, no waste. And rags. If we're talking about cleaning, for me, the kings of clean are merch shops. And they have plunger cans, they have cut pieces of cloth, all bought in, ready, bought by the tens of the thousands, ready to use.
I'm going to say they must buy them because I bet they don't have any
Yeah.
reject prints.
Yeah, no, they buy them. But they take out the screens and squeegees inside the screen, put them into a 10-screen rack,
All right.
and take it away.
And then the pressman's straight on with next job.
Yeah, and then the
Like
people are cleaning in the clean down station. They've almost got as much time as possible. This is where it comes into. This is where you justify buying double squeegees and flood bars.
Yeah, this is probably a worthwhile thing to think
It's
about.
probably £300 a set. 10 sets, £3,000. When you look at the time that you save, if you're paying 3 guys 60-70 quid an hour to clean up, then you soon get that money back by continuing to move your press.
Yeah, I quite like that idea. Could do with at least a couple of sets. Just double the amount of what I've got. That way I can go from one job straight to other, and then almost a clean.
And Annie can be cleaning while you're printing.
Yeah.
Because we only make money when the squeegees are moving. Sure. That's one for Luke.
We'll have to get Luke on. We need
I called down
DTG
to where he works. Called down to
conversation.
MHM Direct last week, and he wasn't there. Bless him.
Yeah. So, teardown stations, we're happy with that. It seems like a logical thing to do. So maybe it's something we can all improve on.
It is. It's the scale.
Gain some time between jobs.
If we use the piece of cardboard on the floor and some old damaged T-shirts, compared to the 25 grand spinny round dishwasher type, there's a lot of room in the middle to get organised. One of the nicest ones I saw was what's the white plastic one? They make the chemicals as well.
For recirculating, it's like a brush that
Yeah.
squirts out and brushes chemical.
I sent you a picture, remember, from when I were in America. I sent you the picture of how they had the one gun for one chemical, one gun for the other, and it was all.
Oh, it's with foamer. I had like a foam attachment.
Yeah, like a spray.
Yeah, it's like you'd use it if you were washing.
Easy way.
Right.
Easy way do an air pump to dispense that.
Easy way.
And they do a little white plastic tray. So for me, the white plastic tray on an angle like that rather than like that. So it's like that. You put the screen on top. It's got a drain at the bottom, and you just scrub all your shit off. I quite like that idea.
That's a good idea. Yeah, I feel like we build washout booths slightly wrong because we build them vertically.
They're like that, aren't
really, they should be at an angle.
Yeah, they should be like that.
Pointing the top, pointing down. That way, the splashes.
Although you have got your urinal feature, haven't you?
Yeah, my filter, pond filler. Yeah, I lined it with pond filler, but I'm having some issues, so I'm not fully sure whether.
Is it holding crap?
Do you know? We've been having some issues, so I've been finding like red splodges in my emulsion.
You still getting them?
Well, I think we might. Whatever we've done might have sussed it, but
Has he fired on it?
She's gone. She took me cleanliness TED talk and said, "You know what? Shove it up."
Yeah, shove up your ass. Yeah.
You can shove your inky covered paint pots up your ass. Yeah, so we're getting these red splotches, and we're running into a couple of different ideas of what it could be. One sort of the brush that she's dipping in to clean the ink. Is she keeping it fresh? Is she washing the brush in between? In between dipping it in and out. Is she fully washing down the chemical,
rinsing,
so that there's no bubbles and no solution left over? Is she drying it bottom up, so that every time you put a screen in, it's dropping down to the next one? So when you dry from the top, work your way down. That way, by the time you put another screen in, the top one's already sort of started to dry, and there's no drips. Silly little things. Yeah, well, that's next on my list, actually. I need to get a little splitter.
Yeah.
I can have a little gun. But little things like that, which I've asked her to change, and she has, and she's been taking a little bit more time to wash her bubbles. And maybe it's worked. However,
is she with you full time yet?
She started this week.
This week? What's that been like for you? Because you don't play well with others, do you?
Well, it's not too bad because I don't see that much of her, to be fair. Ask me in a couple of weeks.
All right, okay.
When it's kicked in, give me a chance, because last week she was here for about 2 hours, whereas this week it's because it was her last week at her old job. So she managed a couple of hours, and that was about it. And this week's been full time. So now I'm only just starting to catch back up again, as in terms of having screens ready. But we have to sort of go through some processes again. Like I say, we've had a bit of problem solving to work out. So ask me in a month.
Yeah.
I'll tell you if prints are flying out the door, then I'll be happy. In theory, they should be. I think in an ideal world, I get in, and the screen's already there, and I get printing, and that's it. It's a continuous process. In theory.
I want more
anyway, back to the pond liner.
Yeah.
That was another thought. Is it retaining chemical and grease and crap? And then you're leaning the frames against it, and then it's a sponge as well, don't forget. So it's sort of, the weight of the frame, is it pushing the sponge, squeezing chemical down? And this is what's causing problems. I'm not sure yet. I've been sort of using it as a tester. And what I did today, I actually put my hand and rubbed it on and thought, do you know what, there's an easy test of this. Rub it. And if your hand comes out greasy as hell, then you know. But it didn't, to be honest. Rubbed it, dried my hands, and it was fine. So
this leads me on to a perfect scenario. People ask me all the time, what should I buy? What should I buy? What should I buy? Where should I put this? How should I plan my shop? And this led me on to the cleaning station. all the screens have to be reclaimed. So we can't do it in a temporary place. We can't do it in an old shower cubicle. We've got to make a dedicated space. And most of us, like you, have made a dedicated space of one washout booth.
Yeah.
If I said to you, right, money no object and space no object, how many washout booths would you have?
I'd have two. I'd have
Only
two
two?
big. Let me think about it.
What would you do in each one?
Ink and stripping in one, degreasing in the last.
Okay.
Or would you have a booth for each step?
I'd think about 3 or 4.
Cross-contamination.
Yeah, I want one for developing only.
Oh yeah, developing. Sorry, yeah.
Nothing other than
just
developing.
Pure water.
Just developing. Nothing else.
Well, if money were no object, I'd have one of those little car wash developers anyway.
What I meant by money no object, no automation.
Mm.
So if you're not going, if you're definitely not going to go automated, how would you lay up? Okay, you've got this big unit. It's 3,000 square feet. What's the process for cleaning screens? How do we do it?
Right. Developing would be somewhere else, to be honest.
Yeah,
I think I'd have cleaning. I'd have booths for
developing somewhere else is difficult because by default we launch a lot of water into the air. So where a lot of people want to keep their developing where they're making and coating, it does also beg the question of the other dog going mad. It does beg the question of, am I throwing loads and loads of water into the air, which is then sitting on my screens and creating a higher humidity than I actually want? So we do have to be careful.
Well, there's an argument for storing screens somewhere else, isn't there?
Yeah.
Which is what I do. Not really by choice. I just ain't got space to not do it.
No. But really, like you said, we want 2, possibly 3 washout booths.
Yeah, I think realistically, I'd like 2. I'd like a big backlit washout booth for cleaning. So stripping emulsion, cleaning ink. And then I'd have another backlit booth purely for degreasing. And it'd just have a typical garden hose. Power wash for cleaning, garden hose for degreasing. But I'd like it a distant apart so that there is no cross-contamination. You're not having any splashback or mist in the air with any chemical in it going from one to the other.
I suppose we could share developing and degreasing.
Yes, you could. I guess you could. I don't see many harm in
both clean, no ink, no dirtiness. So you've got a clean side and a dirty side.
Yeah. Clean and dirty. That's my sort of where I went first in my head. I think that'd be the ideal situation. I'd almost say that's borderline mandatory. That's almost like the very least.
And yet
we don't.
And yet you've got one.
Don't. Yeah, I know. Well, it's some of it's always been in the back of my mind to do, to be honest. Space limited. Something I'm just not going around to doing, but maybe it is something that people should treat as almost.
Hi.
Hey up. She won't be able to hear me, will she?
No, she didn't hear you swear at her.
Yeah, I think it should almost be like a basic necessity.
Yeah.
That should be not discarded.
And yet so many people try and squeeze a little washout booth into, the smallest space in the shop. And even though you walk through a cavernous hall to get to it, and then you're like that in your washout booth. So yeah, it's something we need to look at. And there's a perception that we're not cleaning that many screens, so it doesn't matter. Wow, every single job that goes through has to be cleaned. So it's time we prioritised it, I think.
Today I've been in on my own. All I've done today is print. I've got about 37 screens out here from just today.
Yeah.
So that's just me. It's just me, popsy little me with my little hobby shop. A little arts and craft print shop.
Art and craft. Artisan, it was called earlier. Somebody called it artisan.
Artisan?
Yeah.
It's a little bit better than what you called me, but yeah, I like it.
So yeah, think about your cleaning. Think about spending that extra £500 for Christ's sake. It's not going to break the bank.
Booths are not mega expensive, are they?
No, I
They're
go
back
to
at
so
them
many
to a bit
places
more.
and they've got, 400-500 tellies on wall to impress people when they walk in. And they've got a £27.50 washout booth with a bucket underneath it. Come on, put some money where the process is.
I feel like that was a slight dig.
How's that telly going? I got into
I like to watch.
I got some grief for that tip I gave you.
Which one? Remind me.
To run
the
the
little MHM thing.
So you can look at the visual, link it up to Print Harbor, so you can look at the visual while you're on the same tablet. I got some grief. Apparently, for the last couple of years, I've been telling people not to do that.
Have you?
Apparently, yeah, I can't remember. The only sort of get out of jail I've got is I do tell people that if you minimise the MHM app, you can't index the screen, the palettes out of safety.
You can't touch a press when you're not in the app.
No,
so it's not ideal.
Well, you can lift the screens up and down.
Oh, can you?
Yeah, if you took that tablet off, you could move the screens up and down. But what you can't do is index it.
Yeah. Right.
Because that was the original thought, that you could do that while you walk around. Is that a fucking freezing? Fucking freezing.
Well, you're not putting heating on. We said price of gas.
It's like a fridge in here.
And I got that big light's not on.
No, it's normally me that's complaining about heating being on. It's a bit chilly in here. I've got back door open.
Oh dear.
Not now. No, you've shut it now. I don't know where we're going with that.
I don't know.
It's thrown me completely. Yeah, just sort of.
Just say no, Tony.
It's too late.
£1 tellies, yeah. Spend it on a washout booth.
Spend it on a washout booth. You'd be surprised. We did some calculations, on how much it would save. You'd be really surprised at getting that press running, getting everything cleaned, not having everybody stood around. I think prioritise cleaning.
I'm finding it the biggest time suck for me.
I keep going back to, the whole process, screen print on a carousel or an oval machine, using this process. It takes so much effort and time to get to that first print. We were talking about, before we could print films out, we were doing films by artist. We've got 30 hours of work into a piece of art that we put onto a screen. Easily.
Grief. Yeah.
And then we make the screen, so we've got more time. Then we've got the setup, so we've got even more time. So the whole process is not efficient. You right there?
Just keep thinking. Yeah. All episodes, we're slowly making my way down.
It's just a chin.
Oh dear.
Yeah, so the whole process is not designed to make small runs. It's designed to be set up, put all that effort in that 20, 30 hours, to run for 2 and 3 weeks.
Its origins.
I don't know if you've noticed, but Fresh Air Printers, which is a printer down in London, which is one of the biggest in the UK, have just recently got social media. And they've been publishing what they do. 1 million prints a month. That's what it's set up for. They had all 9 machines running WWE jobs for an event that's probably in 3 days' time. But it's all about, run 100,000.
Yeah.
And then we're trying to print 50 pieces using the same technique. Yeah,
totally. The whole system's sort of born in a totally different place to where. And you've got to look at where is the biggest percentage.
Biggest percentage of time is prep. Yeah. But it's simple math. If we say that you can do it wet on wet, right, and you've got a real flash, not that one you've got. If you've got a flash in line, so it's only going around once. We can do a 5 colour job. Print, flash, print. 100 pieces. Right, the machine will run at 1,000 pieces an hour.
Yeah.
So let's say there's 2 of you loading and taking off.
Yeah.
And we say, I don't know, 600 pieces an hour.
Yeah.
That's 100 pieces in 10 minutes. So it's only running for 10 minutes. But finding the ink, putting the screens in, putting the squeegees in, setting the pressures, tweaking the reg, doing a test print, you're 20 to 25 minutes in there with the best will in the world and the best prep in the world.
Yeah.
So it makes much more sense, much more intelligent to attack the 25 minutes bit than try and get the 10 minutes down to 9 by turning the machine up to 1100 an hour. And that's what we've got to look at. We've got to attack that bit there. Because if we just take a screen print factory out the box, it's not designed to do 100 pieces. It's designed to do 100,000 pieces. And it does it really, really well. But it doesn't do 100 pieces really well.
I guess this is where we have to fill in the blanks and adapt and come up with things that speed up that pre-press process. Because for us,
which is why you've seen,
is so imperative.
You've seen
pieces.
So many pre-press machines now. There's a machine that will coat the screens, a machine that will image them, a machine that will develop them, a machine. We've got everything because we realise we've got to get screens to that machine, that press, as quickly as possible. Keep feeding it. What does it eat? It's a little monster that eats shirts, ink, and screens.
Screens.
Keep supplying them. It'll keep shitting out little shirts all day long.
That was a good factor. That was a good little learning point. That was something that sort of stood out when me and you were here running it side by side. How much quicker it is. Amazing how much quicker it is.
Two people.
You've got 2 people on a press. It really just speeds the process up. It was a bit of an eye-opener for me. So it almost feels like an afterthought. The fact Annie's got screens to do, she's got inks to mix, and if she really wants that stuff, she can stand by me.
Yeah,
with the press. So actually,
and increase your production by what?
Now.
40%, 50%.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, it was almost an afterthought of, is there no else to do? Oh, I'll come here then.
Yeah.
Actually, no. Now I think I could probably gain quite a bit of time and have a hell of a lot more production if she's with me. Maybe a couple of days just dedicated to that on its own.
Yeah, you only get paid when you invoice it, mate.
yeah. The more shirts that come off that press in a day, the more.
So I had this discussion with the new guy down at Reading, and he's like, "How many people are normally on a press?" Because he's new to it. He's only been doing it a month. He's only seen this press and never seen anything else.
Yes.
Well, it started off as 5.
Yeah.
If I go where the labour's cheap, it's 8.
Yeah.
If I go to Cleckuddersfax in Yorkshire, and it's 1. So it all depends on the outlook. And they're saying, well, we think can we have 3? So, well, yeah, you've got 3, but this particular place have got a unique problem. They've got too much work. They're still subbing out 70% of the demand.
Yeah.
So that's a unique problem. In that, okay, well, how do I get more work out? Well, I said, if I was here, I'd pitch to the owner, the boss, who doesn't know how to print, and I'd say to him, well, he doesn't know how to print, but we'll say he doesn't. So I need an extra person. Okay, well, that's 25 grand a year. What do I get for me 25 grand a year? So if you give me 4 people on the press instead of 3, I'll guarantee you an extra 1,000 pieces a week. Those extra 1,000 pieces you sell for £2 each. That's £2 grand contribution. Let's say you make 30% profit. Then, you're at 600 quid. So he's paid for himself plus 200 quid. And if I don't increase production by 1,000 pieces a week, after a month, take him away.
Yeah.
But the only reason I wouldn't increase production is if it wasn't there. So they have a huge, big hopper full of work trying to get through the little bottom bit here. And it's stuck at press. And they're trying to run it with 2 and 3 people. I'm like, throw 4 at it. Ooh, I can't afford that. The guy there's not doing that. That picking his ass. Get him over here. Well, then I need somebody to go into the warehouse. Go find anybody to pick warehouse stuff. But get a set of arms and legs on here and make sure that it never stops.
Yeah,
so that while
just
you're running
unloading.
100 pieces, your fourth man is getting ready for your next job.
Yeah,
Screens are there,
yeah.
colours are there, artwork's checked. It's all done.
Mm.
Last
You've
piece or outlet mode. As soon as that goes round, click, 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 right, let's go. Off we go.
Yeah.
But when you guys so busy loading 1,000 shirts, when he gets to the end of loading the 1,000 shirts, number one, he didn't want to rush. And number two, he's like, right, I've got to go look for the screens now. See you later.
Yeah.
And off he goes looking for the screens.
You want a press, you want a trolley cart, screen rack cart.
Yeah, for
extra
me,
press with all
I
the
want
screens ready
4
to go.
people to a press. Now, if I've got 2 presses, I don't want 8, I want 7. So I've got 2 presses, I've got 2 teams of 3 and a guy in the middle.
And a dryer.
And a dryer that can cope with it.
Yeah, so you've got 2 presses, dryer in the middle.
Yeah, the old cock and ball
the
shape.
layout is. So really, you really only need one person to end at dryer. That's what you're saying?
No. So I'd say 7 people over 2 presses. 1 loader, 1 unloader, 1 QC on end at dryer per press. So end of 1 dryer, I've got 2 people. 1 catching the left-hand side, 1 catching the right.
Yeah, because you might have 2 lanes.
Yeah.
Well, you will have 2 lanes.
Yeah.
Right. Interesting. Cool. Like it.
The problem happens when the guy at the top says, what's he doing? Oh, we're waiting for the next job. Well, so I'm paying 3 of you to sit and wait for the next job. What's your problem? You haven't sold enough sales. All right, well, sales are low. I can't afford 3 people to do this. You're going to have to do it on your own. And I end up with 1 person on an auto press. And, the one thing that drives me mad, it drove me mad when I was with you. And I did it wrong. End of the box at the end. Now, you've got a system where you've got little shirts onto big shirts and you pick them all up. I'm picking them up willy-nilly, and now they're all over the place. It takes you an extra 15 minutes to sort them out.
That day, normally, they'd all come out in order.
I know.
And go everywhere. It did take literally took 15 minutes. You went off to go do some screens. And I was like, right, small. This one's a medium.
I don't know your
really
system.
ruined my system.
I don't know your system. I just went
But
like
that was just
in
how
box. Laid them all out and started laying them out so we could do it on the side really quickly. Didn't realise I just caused 15 minutes more extra work.
I don't like that option. I'd much rather have somebody catching them for me. To be honest,
But the reason you don't is because you don't have 8 hours worth of production on that machine every day. So you'd be paying somebody to do nothing.
Well,
so it's a sales issue.
Yeah, but what comes first? So there's always a bottleneck. I've had a production bottleneck majority of the time I've been doing this job. I've never caught up ever in my life.
It's a nice problem to have.
Screen printing life. Yeah, it's a tricky one, but I think that day sort of highlighted and made me really start to think. Next to pair of hands actually is quite. It would be quite efficient and productive to have. Whereas I'm thinking, it's just somebody catching shirts. I can do that in 10 minutes, end at dryer. But no, it's like from one job to the next, and the shirts are already stacked. They've come off at dry and they're stacked, ready to go in a box, gone, next job. Stacked, ready to go, another job. There's a lot to be said for that. And maybe even if it's 2 or 3 days a week, and all my production is saved for that. A couple of days prepping, a couple of days for Annie to wash and strip screens and re-expose, etc. And that's a couple of days for me printing films on press, answering emails, etc. And then 3 solid days of production with a pair of hands so that it's one job done, next job, one job done, next job. No, rather than spreading it over a whole week.
Some of the hardest things I've had to explain to owners is turn that press off for a day. What? Turn it off. Oh, I can't afford to turn it off. I've got loads to do. Turn it off. Do all your prep. Get prep done for 3 days. Then turn that machine on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And don't let it stop for anything. You're not making screens. If you're ever making screens on the day you're printing the job, you've done it wrong. You've gone wrong somewhere. You should be making screens, mixing colours the day before. Minimum day before.
Yeah. I think that's a good way to look at it.
Proper planning prevents piss poor performance.
Don't talk to me about peeing right now.
It's been an hour.
I can't think straight. It's coming out. Hey,
An hour and
gosh.
20, you've done all right. So we'll wrap it up if you want.
Let's wrap it up, because
You're busting.
I need a wee.
You're
I need a
dancing.
wee. Yeah.
Let us know how many washout booths is a perfect number. Let us know how long do you
We're
think...
at Antimoy.
All right, okay.
We're finishing Antimoy. I've been promising her it for weeks.
Go for it.
I'm a terrible nephew. Is that
Yeah.
the word? Nephew?
Yeah, niece, but it's all
right. So, Antimoy got in touch as always.
Yeah.
Hello there, boys. I hope the sun is shining where you are. It's been nice here too, wherever I am. I was sitting at a desk
We
the
know
other day.
where you are.
I go around in circles. I was sitting at my desk the other day, rolling out my film positives, and I got to wondering about chokes and inkjet printers. There's been a lot of talk about CTS lately. I was amazed to see that new system Dave is playing with in the UK. Counterintuitive, but I get it. Looks to save time, but I wonder how long the emulsion will hold up on a long run. Worth keeping an eye on, though.
5,000.
Here are a couple of questions. Yeah. Here are a couple of questions I hope your listeners might appreciate. It must be nice when a shop can afford CTS, but for most of us mere mortals, I wondered what A3 inkjet you would recommend to create the film positives. And question 2, I wondered what sort of choke you put on your artwork for top colours, and if it's any different for a highlight white. For example, we use Illustrator and choke the underbase to 0.75 with the stroke alignment to the centre. But if we are doing a print flash print, 2 screens white on an auto, we drop the choke to 0.25. How does this compare with you, Danny, and other shops you have seen, Tony? So question 1, must be nice to afford a CTS, I agree, but for the most of us mere mortals, what A3 inkjet printer are you using? Well, I'm not using an A3 inkjet printer. I'm using a roll
A3
printer.
inkjet printer. It used to be Epson 3000 was the sort of like the one for everybody. The
Was it
problem with
1500?
A3 is you've got to keep loading the sheet because the paper pickup is looking for a non-reflective, a non-transparent piece. So it tends not to pick up sheets one at a time, multiple.
Yeah,
so you've got to load them in
now.
one at a time.
You can only put one sheet in.
Which
you
is
could
really
get an
time
Epson-
consuming.
The good one, the one that used to be really popular, but they discontinued the model. It was the Epson 1500W, I think it was. But that was an A3 plus, so you could get A3 plus size films. So you're not limited to A3 prints. You could have a bigger
You
print.
can still get your edge marks and stuff on your labels on.
Still get your edge marks in, and you can still basically do A3 printing.
Yeah.
But I'd skip that and just go straight to roll.
I'd skip it and go straight to roll.
Yeah.
I think an A3 printer is in the region of £100. Any inkjet printer, especially if you can swap the cartridges out for accurate all black, even better.
Yeah, a couple of systems in there, all black and black max.
Yeah.
Blacker, BLACQUER, if they're still going. And just refillable cartridges, and it's an all black ink system.
But if we're looking to save money on film output, we need to reevaluate what we're charging for print. And we really need to put our hand in a pocket and spend £1,200 on a roll printer.
Yeah, £1.5 maybe.
Yeah, probably between £1,200 and £1,500 for a roll printer. The rolls are about. You buy them still. I'm going to guess at £100 for a roll at 100 feet.
Yeah, about £90. I get the chrome. I get the expensive chrome line stuff, and they're about.
So it's about £1 a foot. So that's about 50p per A4. So in the long run, the last time 10, maybe 15 years ago, I were buying A3 sheets. They were £1 then.
Yeah.
So they're probably still expensive now. So in the long run, roll printer, not sheet fed, and something like a Canon or an Epson T3200, something like that.
What's mine?
T3200?
Yeah, T3200. I can't fault this in the slightest.
No, they're a staple. Yeah.
It's, I probably shouldn't say this, but touching wood, it's been a bit of it's been a workhorse, to be honest. Not a single blip. And I'll tell you something now as well. If you're printing sheets, you're probably running some sort of premium desktop printer.
Yeah.
£200 maybe, £200. But you are having headaches. I know
Yeah.
for a fact you're having headaches.
You can't do
You're getting
unattended printing.
splodges and bats, and you're getting bad prints every now and again. You're going through ink cartridges. One ink cartridge runs out, so you've got to replace the whole lot. You can throw all that in bin.
From a
you'll have none
time
of
point
that
of view,
on this
you can't
raw
do
printer.
unattended printing. You have to be You have to be at the printer.
Yeah,
while
you
you're
have to
printing.
watch it and stuff. Yeah.
Whereas you can press print, go for a wee, come back, and your roll's done.
Oh yeah. I put 6. I just send 6 colours and bugger off. I'll leave it.
Yeah.
And then I come and sort them out later on when I'm.
You could run it
Yeah.
overnight, so it
Yeah.
would pay for itself. That £1,200 to £1,500, or £3.50 if you like Sarah, and you pick them up on eBay for fun.
Oh yeah, I just got 2 of them as well, didn't you?
You got 2 of them, yeah, for less than the price of 1. Yeah. Cheers.
Cheers.
Got that. I'm gonna miss that for the next 6 weeks.
Where were you off?
Back to America.
Guatemala again? Or just America?
Back to America. Normal.
Oh. Was it
Yeah. So Auntie Marie's other question was
choking?
choke. So I
Choking your bases.
I worked for Shea Gasser in Barnscombe in Idaho, and he used the phrase bleed, choke, trap, and I can't look at him seriously anymore. He completely, absolutely ruined those three phrases for me. Bleed, we tend not to use anymore. Choke and trap are the same thing. I would only trap an underbase. I would trap the underbase according to the equipment I have.
Yeah.
So the better the equipment, the smaller the trap. The trap is always centrally aligned, like the guy said. And like they said about 0.75 point, yes, it's a good starting point. It pretty much covers everything. As you get better, more confident, you can bring that down to 0.5 or 0.35 if you've got everything absolutely dialed in.
Yeah.
If you're on a manual or a TAS or something that's you got to use a precision adjustment tool to hit it with, then we're on 1.1, 1.2 point of choke. That's reducing the size of the underbase.
That's coral-based talk. If we're talking raster bitmaps, we're talking pixels. So what would you?
If we're talking pixels, it's normally 2 pixels on a 300 dpi print.
Yeah.
If we're talking about white, interesting that you should bring that up. Something I always try and get round. We never choke the underneath the top white.
Yeah. So this stood out to me. It mentioned
0.25 on a white and 0.75 on the
So
colours.
let's just assume it's this graphic.
Mhm.
He would have printed this, and then he would have printed the exact same graphic with a 0.25 choke.
And I would never do that
on a second screen.
Yeah.
To me, in my head, why not just burn the same screen?
Yeah. When it's white on white, same screen. If there was red in the design, then we'd choke the red part, but not choke the white part.
Yeah.
The reason we don't choke underneath top white is to keep the crisp, clean edge. If we've got red bleeding over the top of a base white, the red disappears into the shirt, it hides everything, it really does help the job run smoothly. Whereas if we've got white, and there's a cutback or a choke or a trap of white underneath the white, we can actually see a double edge of white.
Yeah, you get that almost ghosting effect.
It's like it looks like a ghost or a really rough edge. So the sort of like the rule to stand by is if you're underbasing a colour, it's 0.75 point, and if you're underbasing a white, it's the same, no trap at all.
Yeah, if I were running this and I were using 2 screens in my head.
Both self-promoting today, aren't we?
Oh, we're on it, aren't we?
Yeah.
Available soon in ASColour heavy garments, which are really good quality.
It's a really nice fit.
Is that ASColour as well, actually?
This is ASColour, yeah. Oh, it's my favourite shirt.
It's my favourite garment brand and my favourite garment rep guy at ASColour.
Yeah, if I've got a choice, it's always ASColour.
100% every single time.
Yeah, I think we've done that now.
I'm not actually being biased either. I'm genuinely
No, I
such
like
an
'em.
ASColour fanboy.
Nicer print on, nice and smooth, good fit, good
Such a
quality,
smooth
retail
surface.
quality. You know, it's a bit hard to get around as a promo shirt. They're a bit expensive, but
I think that gap's closing. I'm
Yeah.
looking at Gild. Somebody specifically asked me the other day to get Gildans because they thought they were the cheapest.
Mm.
And then I looked at the grid. I thought that gap is closing, and I'm thinking, you're talking pennies at this point. Why?
Oh, good.
Like, it's a no-brainer.
Good, because these are definitely a retail quality.
100%.
So, we done? Are we finished?
That's a really aggressive way of saying buy ASColour.
Yeah, just a little bit, yeah. For choke and trap, I think if we try and live by that, the problem happens with serifs. So with Times New Roman,
Yeah.
small text. If you choke back that white underneath the red, then you're going to lose the serifs. So in that instance, I spread the red.
I know exactly where you're coming from. I think I had to do this the other day, actually.
Yeah.
So that sounds very familiar.
So
yeah, I was having an issue.
If you can't choke, spread and bleed.
Right. Right.
Ruined.
All right.
Ruined.
It should have been a really hard episode to edit this.
Leave that in.
Right, that's answered anti-my Let us knock it on head because I'm busted for a wee and I'm a bit frazzled.
Right.
After today, to be honest.
Well, we've had a good session there. Lots of topics covered. Let us know in the comments. How many washout booths, how many people on a press, and how many times around the press you're actually printing.
Yeah. Are you? Yeah. All right.
Right, so with that, we shall leave you to it. We'll let Danny disappear for a week, and hopefully we'll catch up next week. Next week, I am in a different time zone, so we're going to disappear off to Providence, so north of New York, and we're going to do Print Fest at the weekend, next Friday, Saturday, which is a seminar at a big print shop called Mirror Image. So we're going to have some industry legends. So we've got John McGee from Aviant on Instagram as Travelling Screen Printer.
Yep.
We've got Michelle Moxley, who is Notorious R&D on Instagram. Heavily into AI and designs, has worked at all the best top, Nike, Reebok, all those designers. We've got Rick Roth, industry stalwart, been doing the Ink Kitchen for years now.
Not to be confused with Rick Ross.
No, I don't know who Rick Ross is. And a few really good top quality suppliers that are going to help us answer as many questions as possible. It'd be a good couple of days. Similar sort of thing to what we do when we go to merch shops.
Yeah, a bit of a
open house
seminar.
Open house. Seminar. Yeah. Learn, have fun, eat as much crap as possible from Krispy Kremes.
Quite like the concept.
Yeah, it's good. It's a good idea, isn't it?
It's a really good idea. It'd almost be worth doing over here, wouldn't it?
It would be, yeah, if we could find a print shop over here that would accept us.
Wink, wink.
Yeah, if you want to hold a Chippy Tea seminar in your print shop,
send me some money.
just send me beer.
Not totally, just me.
Send me beer.
I'll swap out money for cake if you want.
Yeah.
Right,
so with that, we'll leave you to it. If you like what you see, give us a follow, a subscribe, a share. Won't go amiss. And all that remains to be said is, from me, Tony P at Palm Print, and
Danny Day from Sweet Print Co.
I'll see you.
Oh, you keep giving me posh, no, she don't agree with me. I don't want lobster thermidor with raspberry coulis. It's Friday night, I'm within me rights. I want a Chippy Tea.